Happy Camper Radio starts in 3, 2, 1. Hello, my friends, and welcome back once again to the Happy Camper Radio Show, the only place you need to be when you're ready to talk camping. Camping is what we're about. Camping is all we talk about. It is the big weekend, Super Bowl 49 in Glendale, Arizona, and Super Bowl parties are beginning to happen everywhere. Have you ever thought about camping and Super Bowl? If you never thought they went hand in hand, you are totally wrong. I'm telling you something. I made some phone calls this past week out to different campgrounds in Arizona in close proximity to Super Bowl 49. And I really wanted to get some folks who run the campgrounds to talk with us on the show to get an idea what the festive spirit is like. And although a lot of the folks wanted to talk with me, they were just too busy. A lot of the campgrounds, believe it or not, in the Phoenix, Arizona area are packed to capacity. It's no surprise, though, because a lot of folks who are into the Super Bowl spirit, who are into the football spirit, are doing what they can to take in the celebration. Some folks will be going to the game, some will not, some will be camping, and they will be having a wonderful time. But anyway, we're going to be talking about that on the show today, so stick around. It's going to be a very good and informative program. Our phone number here at the Happy Camper Radio Show is 404-537-2267. That's 404-537-CAMP. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, add us to Circles on Google+, and now you can subscribe to us on our brand new YouTube channel. Check it out when you get an opportunity. There are so many different ways for you to reach out to us here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. Enjoy us at home, on the road, and at the campground. Let's head on over to the shout-out window. I've got a lot of wonderful folks who just recently signed on board, and we want to recognize them here today. First of all, let's start by saying hello to Marcela Santiago of Los Angeles, California, Roxana Florera of Miami. I hope I pronounced your name right. Megan Claire, also of Florida, Sarah Fabian, to Lori Renee Tompkins. Here's a wonderful young lady I had an opportunity to chat with briefly on Twitter this past week. Her name is Steph. She's from Italy, and she loves to travel. Also want to say hello to Lauren and Justin from Ontario, Canada, to Bernard Rosling from Montana. They're all following us on Twitter. Also to Elise Xavier, Mobile RV Glass, who added us to Circles on Google+. And finally, to Ed Whitcomb, who is now following us on YouTube. These are all wonderful folks, and we're so glad to have them aboard. And thank you for being a part of this great, Happy Camper Radio family. Well, folks, yes, the big game is here. We're just hours away from the big kickoff, Super Bowl 49 in Glendale, Arizona. And the football spirit is at capacity. It is high. Everybody is talking about the big game. Are you into sports? You know, there are very few people that I know of that really just look at this as just another day. For me, on the other hand, well, I've got a big sports fan here in the house. And although I'd love to be camping this time of year, I'd like to be somewhere where there's a lot of football activity going on, where the campsites are really at capacity and folks have their flat panel TVs all tuned into the big game. And it's going to get underway here in just a few hours. Yeah, the big game in Glendale, Arizona, scheduled for Sunday, February 1st, 2015. It's between the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. I've been to Glendale, Arizona before. I'm going back about 20 years. I was there for a conference and had a wonderful time while I was there. Met a lot of great people. The weather out there is just absolutely fabulous. If you enjoy hot temperatures, Glendale, Arizona, Phoenix area, it's a wonderful place to be. The game is going to be held at the University of Phoenix Stadium, and I believe kickoff is at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's a festive spirit just about anywhere you go. And if you never thought that football and camping don't mix, well, I have my mind focused so much on camping all the time that I never really kick football into gear and start thinking about it. But you just can't help doing that this time of year because a lot of folks are really taking in all of that fun atmosphere that's available. And I can't blame them. You add some good people, some good food to the mix, and you've got plenty of room to celebrate. As I said, I spoke to some of the campground owners out in the Phoenix and Glendale area this week, and I had a brief conversation with each of them. I really wanted to get maybe one or two of them to come onto the program and maybe talk about what's going on at their particular campground. And although they really wanted to talk with me, there was just so much going on, and understandably so. I talked to a campground worker today, and her supervisor was out dealing with problems there in the campground because just right before I got off the phone with her, she was telling me that he was dealing with one issue, and then somebody ran into a gate. So, he's running around doing all kind of things right now to keep their guests happy and to keep the campground up to par. So I can understand why I wasn't able to get a hold of anybody to talk to me on the program. But one of the things I did find out is every one of these campgrounds, every one of the campsites are filled to capacity. And unfortunately, they've been having to turn people away, and nobody wants to do that. Could you imagine going to a place where the Super Bowl is about to be played and you've gone out there and you don't have any reservations? You are probably going to be traveling 100 plus miles away before you even come close to finding a location where you can park your gear, park your rig for the night. I can only imagine the reservations that had to be made months in advance of this big event. So naturally, the campground owners and managers, they didn't have time to talk to us, but they tell me, at least the workers that I spoke with, a lot of the fans started arriving early. And granted, not every one of them are going to be going to the big game. Some are going to be there just because they want to celebrate and they want to be in close proximity because that's where all the fun and excitement are happening. Now, some campgrounds are going to have event centers, and they're going to be hosting their own Super Bowl parties. There was one place I spoke with, and they are parked right next to a very big lake. They have their own marina. They have their own sports bar. So naturally, a lot of the campers who are not going to the game but have come to the Phoenix area to be a part of the celebration may be going there to do their Super Bowl celebrating. And of course, some are going to be celebrating right there at the camp and will have the big screen tuned into the game right at their very big campsite, right at their own campsite. What are your plans for Super Bowl 49? Are you going camping? Maybe not in Glendale, maybe not in Arizona, but are you going camping this weekend and planning to take in the big game? How about getting in touch with us here? 404-537-2267, sometimes this week after you get back. Or if you want to, drop me an email, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. If you're taking any pictures, please share them with us. I'd love to post them on our homepage. I would love to post them on our social media sites because there are some folks that don't believe you can have the fun of your lifetime at some of these Super Bowl events at a campground. But it can't happen. If you're somebody like me, most likely what I'm going to be doing, I am going to be relaxed in my living room into my big, comfortable recliner. I'm going to have a lot of my adopted pets climbing all over me. Lori, she always is into football. She loves football food. She loves, having a great time and being the hostess of any event that we have here. I think we might even have our friends Pancake Mel and her husband Greg come on over the house. I haven't found out yet whether or not they're going to make it. But in any event, we're going to have the game here. And that's going to be about the extent of our Super Bowl celebration for 2015. But, for some people, it's just another day. Some people just take it in stride and, and they go on about their business and they don't, are not really into football. They're not into baseball or anything like that. And that's okay, too. So, whatever your plans are tomorrow, we want you to be safe. We want you to have a great time. But if you are going to be camping, if you're going to be out in that festive environment, if you're going to have your flat panel TV there at camp, maybe you're going to carry a little portable set and you're going to sit there around the campfire and watch the game. Tell us about it. Send us your pictures. Send it to Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. I want to share it with everybody. Now, Super Bowl, I can remember. I'm going to go way back about 15 years now. Because Super Bowl 34, I believe it was, came to Atlanta on January 30th of 2000. And I was in town, and I was working Super Bowl weekend. Oh, how well I remember. It's all coming back to me now. It was the St. Louis Rams versus the Tennessee Titans at the Georgia Dome. And like any Super Bowl city, it was packed to the gills. The hotels were full. You couldn't get a room anywhere. And no doubt the campgrounds around this area were full too. I didn't make it to the game. Of course, like I said, I was working. I was in the downtown metro Atlanta area. But I knew some law enforcement officers that were actually working at the Georgia Dome. And while they were football fans, while they wanted to be there, while they wanted to take in all the excitement, they were there to work, and work they did. In the end, the Rams won that game 23-16, but I can imagine the city did very well financially because Atlanta was the host of Super Bowl 34 in the year 2000. I don't know if they're going to be coming back to the Atlanta area again. Of course, this is going back some time, and I'm retired from law enforcement now. But I can just imagine what's going through the minds of law enforcement personnel who are working in Glendale, Arizona this weekend. Law enforcement officers are usually football fans too, just like myself. And some of them are not going to be able to enjoy the big game because they are going to be working. One of the things you've got to understand about law enforcement, folks, it's when you sign up for that profession, you are basically telling your jurisdiction, whether it be a city, county, or state, whatever it is, that you're going to make yourself available to them no matter what. In large events like the Super Bowl, and we had the 2000 Olympics here in Atlanta back in 2002. So it was a very, very big, sports city back in 2000. And I worked the Olympic Games too. But one of the things that happened when you're working as a law enforcement officer in a large jurisdiction such as Atlanta, or really anywhere for that matter, when you have some big events like that coming to town, they are going to cancel all off days. All vacation time is canceled. All sick leave is canceled. They expect you to be there at work. And I know a lot of law enforcement officers, they whine and complain about it. I know I did the same. But you would have to understand that if you're going to put on that uniform, if this is the type of work that you want to do, you must make yourself readily available anytime the city decides to put on a big event, such as the Super Bowl or the Olympic Games. Now, many jurisdictions, like I say, they cancel the off days, and they're probably going to be canceled probably for a few days after the Super Bowl. There's going to be no time to watch the game, even listen to the game, because you're going to have your hands full. You're going to be dealing with issues. I remember those who worked at the Georgia Dome. They were quite busy. They were running around dealing with problems. They were dealing with drunks. They were dealing with people who just didn't know how to behave themselves. They were there to have a good time. But, sometimes, good times tend to get out of hand. And some people, sadly, had to go to jail because they just maybe had a little too much to drink, maybe they got into a fight with somebody, and it really takes away all of the fun that the Super Bowl celebration is supposed to be. Now, for myself personally, back in those days, I worked at one of the big hotels in downtown Atlanta. And, for the most part, I had a great time. I was there like 5 days in advance. And like a lot of these campgrounds out in Arizona right now, people started showing up early. 3 days ago, I started making phone calls. And the folks that I spoke to on the phone, of course, these were not the campground owners, but these were people who were working the front desk, who weren't authorized to talk, that really would like to. I carried on a little conversation with some of them, and they were telling me folks started showing up early. The celebrating started early. The same holds true in any city that hosts a Super Bowl. Whether you're staying at a campground or a hotel, folks show up early and they start their celebrating early. For myself, like I say, I met a lot of great people. Most of the trouble that I had to deal with during the Super Bowl, of course, came from the locals. It was the panhandlers. It was the ones who were always around all the time that took advantage of the out-of-towners, that they couldn't behave themselves. A lot of these panhandlers in downtown Atlanta, and I'm sure every city has them. Every big city does. And it's a big city problem. But here in the metro area, we have some of these ones who are self-appointed tour guides. They see somebody from out of town, they lock in on them, they see that they are having trouble finding places, and next thing you know, they get up there and they start walking around with them. They start showing them all the sights and sounds, and as these people are walking along, whether they're paying attention to them or not, at the end of their tour, the panhandler is demanding money. So, you have a lot of that in your big cities, which is so much more why I prefer going camping, because you're not going to have those problems. Now, if you are camping this weekend, whether you're camping out in Arizona or camping anywhere and plan on taking in the big game, you know what my attitude is about electronic equipment at camp. Television sets, radios. I step on my own foot here when I say that, because I don't mind you having your smartphone and bringing the Happy Camper radio show with you anytime you go to camp. All right? But understandably, this particular weekend, whether you're camping in a tent, you have a pop-up camper, an RV, a motorhome, I would not be a bit surprised and would be in full support of anybody who brings a flat panel TV, no matter how big or how small, so they can take in the big game. You're going to find a lot of these public and private campgrounds. We'll have cable hookups there, and a lot of folks, especially with the big RVs, have their own satellite dishes that they park up on a tripod right next to their rig. They aim the satellite, and they can get picture-perfect screens from just about any satellite signal that they're aimed at, provided they've got an unobstructed view of the sky. I have been to a lot of campgrounds where I see satellite dishes not only at the side of an RV or a motorhome, sometimes I see them mounted to the roof. So these are people that do a lot of traveling, obviously, and they take their television equipment with them. Some people who live on the road, too, watch a lot of TV, and I can't say there's a problem there either. If I was living my life on the road, big dream for me, of course, I would probably have a flat panel TV, and I would shut up about that particular issue. But Super Bowl weekend is definitely going to be an exception for anybody who wants to go camping and take in the big game. Now, you're going to save a whole lot of money, too, by camping than you would, say, staying in a big downtown hotel, because the rates are going to be set at a premium. But at the same time, you got to keep this in mind, too. If you're camping, you're going to have more fun. There's no doubt about that. You're going to save lots of money, both on food and lodging. You can still take in all the fun and excitement because you're going to have people there at the campground that takes in camping just like you do. Camping is fun. It's exciting. You can do all the fun things that you normally would do at a campground. And when it comes time for the 6 o'clock kickoff, you're glued to the TV set. And even so, if you are at a campsite and you've got your rig set up there, you know that you're going to invite some of the folks who are camped in close proximity to you to come on over and enjoy the game with you. Because at every campground, you're going to have fun. You're going to make friends. You may never see these people again your entire life. But I have always said, I am going to never have enough friends before I leave this earth. I meet a lot of people. I only meet them one time, but I leave a good impression. And most campers do just that. Now, some diehard fans will decorate their RVs and motorhomes, especially in the college setting. Have you ever seen some motorhomes that have the football colors, that maybe even have the football logo or mascot painted on the side of it? That's just how much some people into the camping scene are into the motorhomes and RVs. They're football fans. They arrive early. They leave late. I don't think, as far as the Super Bowl goes, and I could be wrong here, but I don't think that there are going to be a lot of big parking lots set up and available for people who want to come to the game maybe a week ahead of time and stay a few days after. I know there's a lot of tailgate parties going on, but, with the Super Bowl being like it is, being a big event, sometimes security is going to be the issue, and they may not allow overnight camping in the parking lots like they do at some college events. But still, some places you may have that available. It may be quite a distance away from where the actual sporting event is taking place, and you may have to drive there. You may have to take a shuttle bus or whatever to get you to the game. But a lot of people do arrive with their RVs, their motorhomes, and they take in the festive environment. And all the football colors, all of the fan colors, some people dress up, some people paint their face, and they take all this in, and it just adds to the big spirit. It adds to the celebration. I would love to be out there in Arizona right now. Of course, at a campground, I don't think I would want to take in the big game, but, just to be around people who camp and seeing them have fun. And if not, having the time to socialize with them, but just to be there to stand in the shadows and watch it happen. I mean, that would make me feel really, really good. For folks who are going to be arriving to an event like this, again, you're going to have to make your reservations early. By the time you hear this particular show, chances are the 2015 Super Bowl season is going to be well underway, or it will have passed. And who are you rooting for? Is it going to be the Seattle Seahawks, or is it going to be the New England Patriots? Who do you think is going to win the game? I want to, of course, I'm not a betting man. I better not say. But I wouldn't be a bit surprised that the Seattle Seahawks takes this one in. All right, we'll have to find out. I could be totally wrong, and if I am, I'll probably get some emails saying, yep, you got it wrong, as I sometimes do. All right, but, if you're going to take in a Super Bowl event, if you're going to take in any big sporting event like this, and you want to go camping, I would encourage you to do your research online and try to find a campground that is going to be in close proximity, that's going to be suitable for yourself and your family. And you want to make those reservations early. You don't want to be like some of these folks in Glendale right now who are just showing up and saying, hey, do you have any spots available? And no, unfortunately, we do not. But, like hotels, not all fans are going to be attending the game. Some, again, are going to be there just to camp and just to watch the game from their campsite. All right. And a Super Bowl celebration at campsite, I want you to keep this in mind, too, that some of the places that I talk to have their own recreation and event centers right there on site. And some are hosting their own Super Bowl parties, which I think is very neat. One of the first ones I spoke to this past week was doing just that. So the celebration is in full swing. And if I was camping at any one campsite and I had a big screen TV, I would be inviting a lot of people over to my site, not just to watch the game, but to also eat and take in some of that great football food. Hey, I have some safety tips for Super Bowl, regardless of how you're spending the game. this time of year, whether you're camping, whether you're staying in a hotel, whether you're there in Glendale, Arizona, or whether you're at home. As always, enjoy yourself, but be safe in doing that. Keep an eye on the kids. Remember, they may not be into the festive spirit like you. They may get bored. They may not want to socialize with the adults. There may not be some other kids their age that they can play with. But anyway, take some time, even away from the TV set, just to check on your kids and give them something to do that's going to keep them occupied and allow them to have fun too. Watch your diet. That's so very, very important. It's very easy for any of us to go overboard. And if you do, allow yourself some time afterwards to do a little exercising, even if it's the very next day. Now, if you're hosting a party, remember you are going to be responsible for guest safety. So very important. If you see somebody at your event, I don't care if it's at the campground, I don't care if it's at your home. If somebody has had too much to drink, call them a cab. Do not allow them to drive. Don't hesitate to take the keys if you have to. It's always a good idea to have a designated driver on hand. Remember, sometimes fans do get carried away. It's all about having fun, but we want to do it, and we want to do it safely. It's time now for our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. Here is an area that I am quite familiar with. It's not very far over the Georgia border. It's in South Carolina. It's the Twin Lakes Campground, and it sits on Lake Hartwell. It's part of the Hartwell Lake run by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And this campground, their season runs all the way through December 31st of 2015. I love the campgrounds that are open year-round. It can be a little chilly in some cases, but wherever you decide to go camping, here is one campground that I admit is going to be very, very entertaining. It's going to be very fun. It's going to be very spacious, and you're going to enjoy the waterfront. It's located on Lake Hartwell, one of the largest lakes in the southeast and the most popular public recreation area. Lake Hartwell is a man-made lake. It's bordering Georgia and South Carolina on the Savannah and the scenic rivers. The dam and lake area boasts 9 campgrounds and 15-day use facilities that are operated by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Now, surrounding vegetation allows for plenty of shade, and the 962 miles of shoreline provides numerous swimming beaches, picnic areas, and boat ramps. Swimming's not a popular activity this time of the year. Give it a couple months before you decide to go out there and do some swimming. But check out the activities and amenities on their website: a boat ramp, boating. They've got a dock area, dump station, electrical hookups, showers, a playground for the kids, a marina, a campground host. Also, take a look at some of the things. Know before you go. It's very, very important. And included in that list, as we talk about quite frequently, don't move firewood. Purchase your firewood locally. It's a great place to visit. It's going to be open all this entire year, so you can go ahead and make your reservations online. It'll be right there on our homepage under the featured campground section. It's the Twin Lakes Campground in South Carolina, and it is our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. And as always, if you have a campground that you would like for us to feature on the program, get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. Of course, you can always give us a call at 404-537-2267 and leave us a message on our phone's voicemail system. Well, folks, that's about going to wrap things up for me here at the Happy Camper Radio Show. I had a great time. I ran my mouth quite a bit today. Ooh, I'm going to have to give it a breather. But anyway, I'm going to head on downstairs. I'm going to turn on my flat panel TV. I'm going to kick back. I'm going to relax the rest of the night. And tomorrow, the big game, well, we'll see who's going to win. It's either going to be the Patriots or the Seahawks, one of the two. There's always going to be a winner, and there's always going to be a loser in football. Just the way it goes. But if you're out there camping, please be safe. Have a great time. And if you do happen to take in some camping this weekend, take some pictures. Share them with us here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. And no question about it, my friends, you can be a happy camper too. We'll catch you next week. Have a great one, my friends. This is Happy Camper Radio.